All board of directors to order. Two things. One, if you wish to address the board tonight, we have several that have already done this. If you'll fill out a citizen communication card and get that to our city clerk, we'll probably do that a little bit different. We have several people that want to talk about different topics, so we're probably going to group those topics together and allow you your 5 minutes to speak tonight. We can allow up to 50 minutes of debate time during citizens communication time. So, and I can tell you we're running close right now with what we have tonight. We'll make sure that we get to all of you. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting. At this time, we'll have our roll call.
Director Jewell.
Here.
Director Hart.
Here.
Director Roberts.
Here.
Director Harris.
Here.
Director Hollibish.
Here.
Director Brewer.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we will stand for our invocation given by Director Terry Roberts. Our pledge of allegiance tonight will be given by Lenore Teague, our Animal Control Director. There she is.
Let us pray. Almighty God, may your grace cover each aspect of this meeting. We pray that all voices will be heard and that we have a mindset of being inclusive and not exclusive. May this be a safe place for people to express their opinions and a place where ideas matter more than titles. May everyone be engaged and involved and all concerns be addressed. May each member of this board feel valued and that we recognize the skill set and knowledge that each person brings to this meeting. For in Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Let me ask one question. Ms. Judy, and I'm sorry, I can't see your last name. 60, what?
Yelverton.
Is that for item 6?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll have Rob Sitterly with the Ready Group to discuss the airport.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. How are you all?
Evening.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to ask for your support for the master plan at the airport. We've been working on it for well over a year now at this point, and trying to put together a robust economic development strategy. How do we take our airport, which is never going to be a commercial hub? We ultimately need to make sure that we have the ability to bring businesses in and create jobs and lease back hangars to them, which will then in essence make the airport financially whole. And so we've been at this since the start of me coming to Texarkana, which is relatively 5 years ago now at this point. When I first came, I said we need maintenance, repair, overhaul, air cargo, and other aviation-related businesses to be on our site, on our airfield. We've got hundreds and hundreds of undeveloped acres that are prime for these type of opportunities, for companies to come in and ultimately lease hangars from us and create jobs, which is what economic development's all about. So there's been some concern from some homeowners that have property near and around the airport. If the master plan is in fact approved, what does that do for their property? Well, Councilman Jewell gave me the task to go out and see what other airports have done, whether or not that it's hurt property taxes for those or property values for those folks or not. And in 4 cases that were recently done by this group, Kaufman Associates, that's the group that did our airport master plan. They came back with four properties on 4 different airports where each of the properties went up in value after the actual study and the master plan was completed. And I'm talking over the next year, not over time, but the very next year when the master plan was completed and published, their home values went up. We anticipate that's going to be the case with every homeowner and every property there. Given the fact that we're bringing companies in, creating jobs, there's going to be more demand for these properties in and around. The other issue that homeowners have had is they've simply said, well, this is a land grab. Land grab is really not the term in any way, shape, or form that this is what we're talking about here. That is a seizure unlawfully of property is the definition of it. There will be no property taken from these homeowners. There will be an actual offer to them at fair market value at the time that we were to purchase it. And that fair market value then, if they don't want to sell at that number, they don't have to sell. It's fine. They can say no. There will be no seizure, no eminent domain. None of that is happening here on your watch, on the airport's watch, on our airport board's watch. And so we've got to be very clear that on that point, this is not a seizure of property. This is folks offered a fair market value for their home, which we know with this mission, with this master plan in place, is only going to go up in value. And so I ask that you all take the time, think about it, and on your June 3rd, I believe, is your vote, approve this master plan. You know, one important piece, and I'll keep an eye on my time, one important piece to keep in mind is that you know, when in fact this plan is released, 90% of the property will be then supported by us, by the federal government, and the local match would come up with 10%, split evenly or you know, 45, 55 between the cities. If we don't have these properties inside the master plan, we can't tap into that 90% of the federal government. And so it ultimately protects not only us, it protects the homeowner. If the homeowner at some point says, hey, we don't want to live next to an airport, a busy airport, a loud airport, well, we have the resources to then purchase that property. And so it's in everybody's interest to approve the master plan as it is, since we've been at it a year. And we don't want to continue to kick the can down the road either, because that's going to cost us then more money. All of this is paid for with COVID money. Not $1 has come from either city to do this master plan. And so I welcome you on June 3rd to approve that as is, to support economic development, support our idea of what we need to do in order to bring businesses to Texarkana. And if anybody has any questions, whether it's you, council, or residents, have them call me. You all have my cell phone. Feel free to pass that out.
Rob, I have one quick iteration, just to make sure I'm clear. As time passes and the federal government pull their funding, and then and that time comes for to pay for that land after that, that fall back on the city?
If we eliminated right now that from the master plan, our plans to include this neighborhood,
Yeah.
then we would have no federal funds in the future to go back for.
That's exactly what I was trying to.
So it would then be incumbent upon, if we wanted to buy that purchase that property, it would be on the cities to split it 50-50, the full value, not
Right
the
now,
10%.
Right now, we're looking at 10%
Correct.
instead of 90%.
Yes.
Lynn?
Oh, I had a question. I guess I got two. Just say, for instance, if you do the plan and you have one house that's, two houses sell, one house is don't, and then you said, you're not gonna do eminent domain, which is somewhere, would that be written in the plan that the city or the airport board or no authorities would not perceive an eminent domain within no form or fashion?
Yeah, so you can include in a master plan eminent domain. There is no eminent
No,
domain.
you put it that you're not going, you just stated that you're not going to do eminent domain.
Because it's not in the master plan means that we cannot take it. We cannot exercise eminent domain.
Okay. Now, what one property that was per se that y'all may consider in the way, how would you go about handling that? Just say you get two properties to sell, and you need one more to extend the airport. How would you go about trying to do that if one person don't want to sell?
So Councilman, great question. If one person did not want to sell, we would work around that property. Meaning we would not, we would just simply build where we needed to build.
But don't the airport line need to go straight per se?
Well, what we're looking at are properties outside of the runway and within the zone too, for the safety zone for airplanes. This is property outside of that, and so we would ultimately be putting potentially somewhere down the road. And again, this is a plan that's 20 years in the making. We're talking about that this could take 20 years or more. If they don't want to sell, they don't need to. They say no. And then we'll come up with another concept of where we would put extra hangars. And the neighborhood that's in question is so far removed from what we're originally doing. We've got 2 companies right now that have signed letter of intents that want to be on our airfield if we build a longer, stronger runway. We've got U.S. congressmen, 3 of them, that support us to $30 million. And so this is just one more step that we need to get through and approve this master plan.
Rob, we need to wrap up.
Yes, sir.
Rob, I know what you've been through today, so thank you for being here.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
It's, and I appreciate you getting that information. It's all good news.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving along, we're going to take some citizens' requests to speak concerning the rezoning, which would be item number 6 tonight on the agenda. First on the list would be Sherry and Gary Watson.
Good evening.
Evening.
We are Sherry and Gary Watson. We reside at 6418 Timber Creek Drive in Texarkana, and we are just here to voice our concerns and our opposition to the rezoning of the property at 6139 Drive for the purpose of 12 townhomes. And I'm sure, as most of you see, there are a lot of us here from the neighborhood, and we are all in opposition of this rezoning. The rezoning, well, the Zoning and Planning Commission said in their last meeting that this would not affect our property values, and we all know that it will. This is an established, single-family dwelling area, and to put 12 townhomes right there at the entrance of our neighborhood is just not acceptable in any form. And the board who voted to get it to this point, if it was in their neighborhoods and their backyards, it never would have gotten to this point for a vote to rezone it, because they don't want it in their neighborhoods, they don't want it in their backyards, so neither do we. So we are here simply to express our opposition to this change. So if you will, please listen to the people.
Thank you. Jamie Graver. Graver? Yes.
Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for allowing us as a neighborhood and a community to come before you. My name is Jamie Granger, and I reside at 1914 Woodway Drive, which is part of the subdivision and community neighborhood that's in opposition. My wife Emily and I live there. We moved there in August of 2001. And the main draw for that neighborhood was the fact that we had planned on raising a daughter and having neighbors and being active in a community neighborhood that were single-family homes and not on the precipice of an apartment complex. Now, I understand that they say that there's a need for additional housing in Texarkana, but that need, I personally feel, along with my fellow neighbors and everyone else here, shouldn't be at the entrance of our neighborhood. My concern is we made a lifelong investment when we moved to that subdivision. A lifelong investment. Okay? I don't, nor do any of my constituents or supporters and friends and neighbors want to see that potentially harmed by our property value starting to decrease. I sincerely echo the previous sentiments in that no one wants to come to a neighborhood where you're so proud that it's single-family homes and you're proud of everything in the neighborhood and you got to drive by townhomes before you get there. Because you can't tell me or prove to me that those townhomes aren't going to revolve with tenants. You can't tell me that that's not going to adversely affect the property value of not only my property, but every single person that's in this room who's here in opposition. So I would like your support in the opposition of that change so that we can keep our neighborhood our neighborhood. There's a reason why every single person chose to go there, chose to buy homes and even build homes there. And I would not like to see those adversely affected in any form or fashion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Whitney White.
I'm Whitney White. I live in the same neighborhood everyone else lives in. 6006 Timberwood Lane is my address. I basically echo the others. Me and my husband bought the house in this wonderful neighborhood for the same reasons. We want to raise a family in a single-family home in a nice neighborhood, and not that this will make the neighborhood less nice, but we want our house to appreciate in value, not necessarily decrease. So if y'all would please support us and don't approve this. Thank y'all.
Corey Mobbs, I believe it is.
Hi.
Yes.
My name's Corey Mobbs. I live at 6118 Timber Creek Drive. When I attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, one of the members stated that if we were opposed to rezoning the commercial development to allow for homes to be built, that we would definitely be opposed to commercial properties being built. I disagree. I would much rather see a commercial property built on that property that was managed professionally, with people coming from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, versus adding up to 24 extra vehicles in and out of our neighborhood 24/7. The turnover rate of these homes will only increase the amount of people that have access to our amazing neighborhood. With the builder not being from here, I can only give him the benefit of the doubt that not realizing that townhouses are not the standard. Single-family homes are. This is our neighborhood. In 3 to 5 years, those rental properties will have had a revolving door of tenants, and the amount of damage that those tenants potentially could have caused will decrease their value as well as the value of our homes. Why build rentals in a neighborhood if it doesn't benefit his own pocketbook? It doesn't benefit ours. There's open strips of property throughout Texarkana, Arkansas. Why not use those? Why come to the entrance of our neighborhood, of a single-family neighborhood that is well-established and has only appreciated in value with the building of the middle school across the street? With adding that extra amount of people coming in and out, if you guys do approve this at all of our opposition, those children won't be able to walk home from school. I want my child to be able to walk to and from school. I want him to get that experience. With the rising equity in our homes in this neighborhood, it will only decrease the value and affect the look of everyone when they come into our neighborhood. And I'll reiterate it again. If this was 2 blocks over in Sugar Hill, we wouldn't be here.
Chandra Giddings, I'm sorry, I can't read. There she goes.
This is out of my will. I don't like doing this, but I love my home. I love my neighbors. Our neighborhood is the sweetest little neighborhood, and we've been so welcome. We're originally from Shreveport. We've been here 8 years. And I don't want it to change. And I second everything they say, because that happened in Shreveport to our sweet neighborhood, and we had to move. It wasn't safe. The crime went up, a lot of loafing. We're paying too much, and at our age, our home is the most expensive thing we have, and I don't want to see it depreciated. And y'all are so sweet, and this is so nice, but I would certainly appreciate y'all really thinking about that, because y'all really got a gold mine in our little neighborhood, and I would like it to stay that way. Thank y'all, and we love Texarkana.
Mike Brown.
My name is Mike Brown. I live at 6101 Timber Creek. I live at one of the houses that is probably the closest in the neighborhood to where this is proposed. And I am opposed against the rezoning for these townhomes. Yes, one of the reasons is because of the decrease in property values. That's already a very busy street. It's just going to increase traffic and make it that much busier. We have a lot of walkers that enjoy that neighborhood to walk. It's going to make it more unsafe for them. We have a drainage problem on McDonald right there next to my house that's going to be in that area, and the construction will affect the drainage in that area. We've even had some neighbors that have had their cars disabled in the water as it collects on the street. And so I just think for all these reasons, whether it's the decrease in the property value and the drainage problem that we have already that will continue and get worse with the construction, and also the increased traffic and not making it safe for the people that like to walk and make use of that neighborhood, I ask you that you oppose this rezoning. Thank you.
Robin Dixon.
I'm a little long-winded. I don't know if 5 minutes is going to be enough for me. I'm Robin Dixon. I live at 5606 Wynwood. My husband and I have been there about 3.5 years now. We lived in Genoa before that, and we chose to move to where we are now because of the neighborhood and because of where it was in close proximity to the school and my mom's house and all that. But I will leave all of the little sentiments to the side about our lives and how we wound up where we are. I will tell you this. I have worked as a counselor in this town for years. Before I worked at Graphic Packaging, I have been to every neighborhood in this town. I have been to apartment complexes, townhomes, you name it. I have seen the worst of the worst. I have seen the best of the best. I cannot stand here and tell you that every person that's on Section 8 or HUD is a bad person. I've met some wonderful people on HUD and Section 8. I've also met the worst of the worst. I worked at Smith Keys Village Apartments at one time before I was a counselor. That place started off as a pretty respectable place until they started accepting Section 8 and HUD. When they started to accept that, the citizens that wanted to live there and really enjoy life and just have a place started to experience the most horrible atmosphere to raise their children in that there could possibly be. I had a resident there that had somebody open their window and come in and take her television while she was watching it and held her at gunpoint till she gave it up. That happened right here in Texarkana on Washington Street. That started off as something that was not supposed to be HUD in Section 8. But somebody come in and built it. They didn't care anything about the citizens of Texarkana because they were coming from the outside in. So they didn't care about what happened to the people around that place. They didn't care about what happened to the citizens that lived there. And I believe that this is the same thing that's going to happen with this. Exactly the same thing that's going to happen with this. In Arkansas, I don't know if anybody knows this law or not, or the process. I wouldn't say a law, but the process. The Section 8 process in Arkansas, if you want to be a Section 8 provider, all you have to do is do an application with the Public Housing Authority, and then they will give you a schedule of inspections, and you have to go through those inspections. And once you do that, then you can start inviting and basically screening your Section 8 tenants. That's basically all you have to do to get certified to be HUD and Section 8 approved in the state of Arkansas. I had to do more to buy a car. So that is very disturbing to me. I'm asking all of you to please listen to what we are saying about our neighborhood and the fact that we do not want to live in a neighborhood where it's supposed to be single-family homes, and then you look over the fence and there's townhomes with no telling what in the backyard, with no telling what going on inside the homes. We don't know what's going to happen once this place is sold. It could be sold 1 million times. It could be sold and turned into Section 8 and HUD. We don't know, and we couldn't stop it if it did happen. Then we are stuck with our homes. I paid $260,000 for my home, and I worked my life to get to that point. So did my husband. My husband is an electrician and works and comes home covered in mud and insulation, and God only knows what else sometimes. He works in people's attics. He works on their roofs. He gets up there and does the work and gets under their houses, comes home every single day of the week, covered in dirt, to make a house payment on our $260,000 house that somebody wants to come and build townhouses right over the fence. There's no telling what our house will be worth once that happens. And all his work will be for nothing. That's it.
Judy.
Good evening. My name is Judy Yelverton, and I am an associate broker at Coldwell Banker Elite and the owner of J. Yelverton Properties. I've also been a resident of the neighborhood that we are discussing since 2006. I received my realtor license in 2006 and opened my property management business in 2012. Currently, I work with 14 owners and have a range of properties from single-family homes to duplexes to townhomes and condos. My association with Colin Kuhn began when Connor Ribble and Colin interviewed my husband Bruce and myself in early 2023 and subsequently asked if we would take over the management of the townhomes at Parkway. We began managing the townhomes April 1st, 2023, and the experience has been wonderful. Here's why. Maintenance on the townhomes is very infrequent. They are well built and of high quality materials. The counters in kitchen and bath are granite. The appliances are all stainless. The cabinetry is beautiful and sturdy, and the flooring is durable. Colin and Connor are proactive in maintenance. For example, they have quarterly pest control. They have semi-annual HVAC inspection and servicing. And they have a contract with Grassroots Landscaping. Grassroots is out every month to make sure that the curb appeal is kept neat and tidy, and the tenants have a nice, well-kept, grassy area off their back patio. Grassroots also maintains a dog park in front of the parking lot. The townhomes rent for $14.99 a month with a $1,000 deposit. The tenant population numbers a variety of professionals. We have nurses, 2 plant managers, a CPA, an accountant, a doctor, a member of the military, and a pilot. The tenants are quiet and friendly and a pleasure to work with. At this point, I think it might be appropriate to mention that one of the key components of good property management is tenant screening. This includes an interview, a credit check, a criminal background check, income verification, and more, in order to select a tenant who would be a good steward of the residence. And because I live in the neighborhood, I would naturally be very careful to select the best tenants of any new development. Finally, the owners are a pleasure to work with. Colin and Connor have been proactive in maintaining the beauty and peace of the complex, and they have been really responsive to any suggestions that we've made. In conclusion, I'm sure that if Colin builds another set of townhomes, the same quality of build and proactive maintenance will be in place, and the neighborhood may find that these tenants are wage earners that would look to our neighborhood to purchase a home when the time was right. And I have copies of these notes if you would like copies after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Colin?
Good evening. I'd like to start by saying that I've been a resident of Texarkana, Arkansas for 8 years. We live at 6211 Tennessee Road. My wife, kids, and I are all happy to call Texarkana home. We're invested in the city, and we want the city to continue to improve and grow. Development and progress will keep Texarkana moving forward. When large businesses are looking to come invest in Texarkana, they do a feasibility study, and one of those items on that list is always housing. Our goal is to provide those quality properties for the community. We work very hard to maximize every property. We spend hours planning, visualizing, and make sure the finished product will look presentable. From orientation, materials used to construct the buildings, and overall presentation of the property, that's all taken into account to make sure that it's a quality end result. A little bit about these townhomes that we are proposing to build here. They'll all be constructed of brick, fiber cement siding, and architectural shingles. All 12 units will have rear-facing garages with an additional 2 parking spots behind those units. So there'll be 3 parking spots per unit. There'll be 2-bedroom as well as 3-bedroom units. The 2-bedroom will be 1,066 square feet with 2 bathrooms, and then the 3-bedroom will be 1,266 square feet with 2.5 bathrooms. The kitchens will have granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. The floors will be luxury vinyl plank. The stairs will be constructed and finished out with solid red oak. There will be additional sidewalks in front of the building for tenants to walk, as well as a large green space in the front that doesn't go all the way up to the sidewalk that the city has recently put in. One of the questions that arose in the Planning Commission meeting was pertaining to if the property would utilize HUD or subsidized housing, and I would like to reiterate that it will not. We are anticipating renting the 2-bedroom units for around $1,500 a month, and the 3-bedroom units will be around $1,700 a month. We have strict screenings of our tenants to make sure that they're not only financially qualified, but also will treat the building and other tenants with respect. One of the other questions, and a big question that seems to be tonight, is the value of the properties. So there's no real evidence that show that townhomes will negatively affect the property values in the area. We have recently built a townhome project. Those townhomes appraised for $160 a square foot. And the townhomes that we plan to build on the proposed property will actually be nicer as they include a garage and some of the other updates that we're doing. So I'm anticipating the appraisal in the $165 to $170 a square foot for these buildings. And I've looked at current properties that are listed for sale in the subdivision that's to the east of the property, and the listings are listed around $150 a square foot. So the townhomes would actually be appraised at a higher value. There have been some recent sales and also some properties that are under contract that one was at 6303 Timber Creek, and that was under contract with a list price of $159 a square foot. So this shows that the property values should not come down if that's a big issue that everyone has talked about tonight. So, and then also a lot of the workers that we employ are local contractors. A lot of that money will stay in town, create jobs for the next year to build the townhomes. So please take this into consideration. I hope we can get this approved. Thank you.
Colin, I know we're going to have a chance to ask you some questions when you get up to make your case before we vote on it. But I want to ask you something. How long have you owned that property?
Which property?
The property in question that we're going to consider to rezone.
I think it's been about a year, a little over a year.
Would you say you've kept that property up?
I would say, no, I haven't mowed it or anything like that.
We got people that walk down through there, and that thing is well overgrown. So if you want to be a good neighbor, it's always actions instead of words, sir.
I understand, and that's why we hire a landscape company to take care of all of that.
They need it. They ain't been out there, brother.
Okay, thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Moving on, we'll move on to another subject, and that is Mr. Donnell, is it King, to talk about the rec center. Terry Rogers.
How you doing, Mr. Mayor Brown? My name is Donnell King. I've been a resident of Texarkana, Arkansas for over 40 years. I stay in Ward 2, and I'm here to talk about Mr. Rogers. He helped me out when I was a little kid. We played sports. He was our bus driver. He picked us up from school and brought us from home. But he also instilled something in me to help the kids in our community. And I also build with our city. I've been partnered with our city of Parks and Recreation for 4 years. We were playing football here where the new recreation center was. It was nothing there. It wasn't open. It wasn't kids there. So we brought kids there. Once we brought kids there, I guess we got some kind of funding to get this thing started or something like that. But ever since then, our kids haven't been there. We need that to be Terry Rogers because it's something for our community. It's a seed that's been planted where people like me are helping kids in our community. Mr. Harris knows me. I see him a lot. Mr. Brewer, I've seen him a lot of places. I also have supported you on everything that you've done, Mayor Brown. And I just want you to try to consider this, to get this done, because it's not just a name. It may be just a name to you, but it's something to us. It's something that's important. It's something that we need to go on for our next generation of kids that may be lost. We need that. This is something that we need, and I know it may seem something small and minute, but we need this. And I just ask for y'all support and help in trying to make this happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mondo.
Good evening. I'm Mondo Barry, 4414 McGee, Texas County, Arkansas. Kind of piggyback a little bit on King. The reason I do what I do every day, which I am the site director at Will Washington. I'm also the director over at ALE on the campus of Arkansas High. And the reason I do what I do on a daily basis is because of Terry Rogers and the effect that he had on me. Can I get a show of hands of the people here on behalf of Terry Rogers? Could you raise your hand? And that's just a small bit right there, because we have over 250, signatures also. And like Mr. King just stated, that's very important to us. Terry played dad. He played the role of dad to a lot of us. A whole lot of us. And I'm not talking about just the African-American male, I'm talking about everybody. And if it wasn't for Terry, I honestly don't know where I'd be right now, because my dad wasn't there, along with a lot of my friends around town. And we had some very successful friends, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the first thing they'll do, they'll argue with me about who dad is Terry. Terry was all our daddies. So having said that, I want y'all to take it serious. I know the last time we was here, Mr. Harris, you weren't the sustained or whatever, and everyone else spoke positive, real positive. Also, we had 2 or 3 who wanted to wait where the community could get a chance to look at it, but every one of y'all at that time, was for it. At least that's what you said, and I want y'all to take it serious. It means the world to us. And like I said, the reason I do what I do on a daily basis is because of the love Terry Rogers showed me, along with a lot of my friends in the whole Texas County. The man worked there over 35 years, and he probably didn't make a total of $50,000. So it had to mean something, for the guy to work there. He had to care about kids. And so I just want y'all to take it serious. I'd appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Donald Reed.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donnie Reed. I think you may remember me from the last meeting. I am the Executive Director of the Washington Community Development Center, and I'm here on behalf of asking again for the same thing I asked for 2 weeks ago, to name the Recreation Center after Terry Rogers. It seemed that 2 weeks ago we had a lot of support for this, and some really great comments were not just made by the people out here. Some great statements were made by some of you guys on the impact that Terry Rogers had with you at a similar, either the same location or a recreation center or Boys and Girls Club that is very similar to that here in Texas County, Arkansas. So with that being said, I would hope that we are staying on the same path. It looked like we were this close to passing it last time. And then we came up with a procedural issue. Someone brought up a very good point. It was the gym that was being named and not the recreation center. And then it was not really a debate, but a serious conversation, because many of you guys were looking for a reason how we could push that through. So it looked like we were about to have a unanimous vote, except for one person abstaining, which I understand. And then 2 weeks later, I'm worried it's not going to pass, because one person doesn't want it to be named the Recreation Center after Terry Rogers. And I think this is democracy, and I don't think that's fair. So I ask for all of y'all's support, and I would want you to know that it's not just me, it's not just these people here. Over 300 people have signed a petition to name it after Terry Rogers. You're sending a message to the people that live in that community by naming it after someone who has selflessly serviced that community for 40 years. That's a lot more important than a little bit of money. I write checks every month to support the Washington Center. And you know what I tell everybody? I'm the least important person there. Because you can find donors. You can't find people like Mondo Berry and Donnell King that sacrifice their personal time taking care of kids in need. And I hope to God they don't have to go through this and have an argument about having something named after them when it's time for to get their flowers. Y'all have a good day.
Is there anybody else that wishes to address the board tonight? Citizens community, yes, sir.
How y'all doing tonight? My name is Earl Adams. I was raised over there on 2105 Washington Street, matter of fact, right around the corner from Laney. And as far as I can remember, we went to the Boys Club. It was on Broad Street then. It wasn't at the American Legion, it was on Broad Street. And some of the sports and stuff that Terry taught us, and instilled us. But one thing he did instill us, if you came in that Boys Club showing out, you see that bench over there? That's where you're going. And you're not going to get up until Terry come in and tell you to get up. He made sure that those kids respected him, they respected the Boys Club. The first time that they had a tournament, Terry took some boys from the Arkansas Boys Club to the Beverly Boys Club, and he played in that tournament. Never happened. Those kids still talk about that today. When they went from Arkansas Boys Club to the Beverly Boys Club and played in the tournament, it was the best thing that ever happened to them. They got a chance to compete to some of the other guys. But I got another guy right here, Billy Jones. He was at that Boys Club more than I was. And we can tell you, Terry Rogers was the reason why we are the men we are today. Thank y'all.
Anyone else?
Mayor, before we move on, I'd just like to get a show of hands of folks that are here in opposition to the rezoning. Hands up. Thanks.
All right, if no one else, we're moving right along. We have a proclamation to read tonight for National Public Works Week. Is Tyler still here? Guess we're going to present this to you. Get the city manager to present this to you, I guess. So this National Public Works Week, May 19th through May 24, 2024. Whereas public work services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public work systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets, and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public work employees, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Alan L. Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do recognize May 19th through May 24th as National Public Works Week in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas. Urge all of our citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions that public works employees make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. At this time, right on into our regular agenda, which is item number 3, is consider the following actions concerning renaming the Texas County Rec Center. Conduct a public hearing for public comments concerning renaming of the rec center.
Consent agenda, Mayor.
Sorry. Consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, May 6th, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager into a construction contract with contact contractors for the Pinehurst Street sidewalk project. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Now moving into item number 3 is to consider the following action: renaming the Texas County Rec Center, conduct a public hearing for public comments concerning the renaming of the rec center, adopt a resolution renaming the Texas County Rec Center the Terry Lee Rogers Rec Center. Tyler Richards.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. So I think you all are well aware. 2 weeks ago, we talked about this. Originally, it was brought up to rename the gymnasium within the rec center after Mr. Rogers. You all spoke that meeting about wanting to rename the entire recreation center. So the resolution that's put before you this evening is for the entire recreation center. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
How did we get, supposedly this was with Jay.
Correct.
How did we get from gym to the whole building? Can you kind of give me a backstory on that?
It was originally brought to me as the gymnasium. Now, I wasn't involved at the very beginning of it. And I would have brought this up last time if I had remembered it, but I did hear something about that. We were going to go with the gymnasium originally due to the Cranks donated that property to us.
Correct.
So I'm not sure the discussions that Jay had at that time, but that's why it was changed to the gymnasium within the rec center. So that's why I brought it for you like that, because that was the only discussions I had heard since then. But that is the reason that it was just the gymnasium within the rec center. Out of respect for the Cranks who donated that property to us, we were going to memorialize that or recognize that somehow.
Correct. I mean, I guess that's what kind of got me thrown off a little bit from the agenda last time. And I mean, I have never had the privilege of working with Mr. Rogers, and from what everybody is telling me, he is a fantastic person that's done a lot for the community, and I much applaud that. But I mean, when you go to naming a building, that's a whole different thing. Now, I am totally for naming the gym after him, but I mean, I don't even think that the building, we're still paying for it with CBG money, are we not?
We are, yes, sir.
So,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
combination.
we're naming a building after someone that we're still getting community block grant money for. And, I mean, I would love to be able to say I would love to vote for the whole building, which I can't. I mean, if we went back, which I know we can't do it tonight, but the gym, I certainly think he deserves some recognition for that. But like you said, I mean, the building would not even be there if it was not for the Cranks. The property that the ball fields are on would not be there if it wasn't for the Cranks. And, you know, I mean, everybody in this community gives something. I mean, everyone here is a part of this community and makes a difference in this community in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But I just don't think naming something, I mean, at what point do we stop naming stuff after someone? I mean, I think that what he has done is, and what he has instilled in these people is testimony to what he's done. And they're passing it on. I mean, I don't want anything, Lord, I don't think they'd name anything after me anyway, other than maybe some toilets down here on Broad Street. But I just think that a building that is not paid for, that we are still using community block grant money on, I just don't think we need to name the whole facility. I am 100% in favor of naming the gym after the gentleman. But, you know, like I said, if it wasn't for the Cranks, the building wouldn't even be there. The city wouldn't even have had the opportunity to redo the building. And that's just all I wanted to add.
And I apologize, I didn't have that information for you
Sure.
all last time. That was my fault. I should have had that information.
Tyler, did the Crank family, have you talked to anybody from the Crank family? Did they want any kind of recognition for the donation of that building?
I have not spoken with anyone from the Crank family, nor am I aware of anyone that has. That was donated to the city long before I came on. I've been with the city for 6 years. So I have not heard that, so I'm not aware.
Let me just say that several things. I have been in from the beginning with this. I've worked with Donnie Reed, I've worked with Jay Ellington, I've worked a little bit with Robert Thompson because of a guy like Donnie Reed that supports the city. And first and foremost, I'm not against renaming the rec center after Terry Rogers. What my problem is that we have worked for the last several months and not actively with Robert, and something that Jay Ellington worked on was we need a naming policy. We need a policy and procedure for the city that they can follow. So for one, you're not sitting in a situation like this right here, to where somebody that follows all those procedures, and if we had that policy in place right now, and the renaming of this rec center fell all within those guidelines of renaming it the Terry Rogers Rec Center, I would certainly support it. I would say yes. We don't have one of those. We have looked at 2, we've looked at 3. I don't think Robert's had a chance to look at any. They were not even worth bringing to the board, in my opinion, and approving, because no one could ever come up with those types of scenarios to try to name something after somebody. You were creating a policy where nothing would ever be named after anybody. And then there was processes and thought processes put in place about renaming the gym after him, relative to the contribution that Donnie made to the rec center. And I supported that 100%. And that's what was before the board when I was not here at the last meeting. And in my opinion, you can't change that resolution in the first place, because you would be changing the intent of a resolution that went out in a board agenda that was telling people what you were fixing to vote on, and you can't change the intent and name that thing after the rec center anyway. So I would have said that the vote, had it passed last time, would have been invalid anywhere, in my opinion. That'd be a city attorney's question, but that's not what you publicized. You publicized naming the gym after him, and you changed it, you attempted to try to change it through the course of the meeting. But we have a number of issues. I was very instrumental in helping the rec center obtain, the city Public Works Department, obtain a grant through HUD. We'd never done a HUD loan before. It took us weeks to pass that, to get documentation in place that I helped put together, to get a 2% loan to redo that HUD center. We're allowed to pay that loan back with CDBG funds, so we're not taking a penny out of the general fund, and we renovated that. We ended up spending $1.2 million on the rec center. During that course of that evaluation, HUD required us to get that property appraised. And we got it appraised, and it appraised for over $500,000. And so when I start looking at policies and procedures that we need in place, and that's what this is about for me. That guy is a tremendous individual. This has nothing to do with that, in my opinion. And like I said, if we pass a naming policy and all that criteria is met by him, I'll be the first to vote yay. Because that's what this is all about, is putting procedures in place that allow this to happen and to carry for future boards and future mayors and future people from the city that want to approach people. The state has these processes in place. That process was followed with the VIDOT. And all that, we had really very little say-so in that. We voted to support it, but that all came from the state because they have very strict processes in place to be able to do that. So I'm not opposed to naming it. I'm not going to support it tonight for those reasons. We have an asset that was given to us by another family, and I don't know if I know them personally, but the Cranks have passed away, but I know all of their relatives. And they've not come to me and asked me to name that building after him. They're really not that type of people, but to me, that's not the point. They've got the biggest chunk, and we should consider doing something for them, if it got right down to it, in my opinion. We should consider doing something for them because we wouldn't be sitting here without it. But we were able to obtain all that. And then the other is a very technical issue for me by having an over 40-year career in the lending business. We probably need to, if we vote to affirm this tonight, we probably need to have you or Tracy or somebody consult with HUD and make sure that we are not violating any of our lending agreements by changing the name of an entity that we incorporated in order to get what we got. So that's a very technical issue. And that could actually be, if it's voted on the rec center tonight, I would certainly make that an amendment that be checked and verified prior to making sure that it's okay with them, because you're not allowed to just go in and finance vehicles and change names on things, finance houses and change names. So we could have a technical issue with our outstanding loan that we have with HUD right now. So those are the reasons that I see. I can work proactively. It's, in my opinion, it's not really my position to do it. I can certainly help and work with the city staff in coming up with a name and policy for the future use of the city, not for just, this is an example. And if this doesn't pass tonight, then bring that back, and if it meets the criteria, I will support naming that rec center after him after we've done all our homework and everything's in place. And that's what we can use for the future going forward. But we've never had any one of those. And it's a very tough situation. And most of them tie to percentages of what an asset is worth. Whether you do it, time is certainly something that is equated into those equations on the policy that I've seen, how much volunteer time somebody's given to something, with this guy's given an enormous amount of time to. So that's the reasons that I can't vote for it tonight. But it's certainly not because I don't think it's worthy of being named that. There's a lot of things that need to take place for me to be able to support that. But I would agree with Terry Rogers. Had I been here that night, I would have voted for the resolution to rename the gymnasium after him. I certainly would have. And that's equivalent to, what we spend in the gymnasium versus what we've got over the whole property. So that's another reason to try to do that. That's the reasons that I feel like that we shouldn't support it tonight. But it doesn't mean that it's not ever going to happen. We can go to work and try to work through Public Works and get a naming policy in place that we can support and use this as a guideline.
We'll go to work on naming
Well,
policy.
I was supportive of naming the gym. Is that no longer an option? And if this is voted down tonight, naming the whole rec center?
We just table it.
I believe that's a question for our attorney.
We just table it and get all the Ts
What was the question?
crossed and the Is dotted.
If we go back to
Let's
just
just
renaming
table
the
it.
gym.
Why?
You can't tonight.
No,
No, not tonight.
I don't think we can table that tonight. Is that correct? Because we've already.
We can table anything we want.
Well, we have the resolution on the schedule. And
We
so
have the resolution
we have
to
the
name the
resolution
rec
on- Yes, to name it after the rec center. So I think we need to go through the formality. If there's a motion and there's a second, we go through the formality. And as far as creating a policy, we can create a policy thereafter. I mean, we passed other.
We have enough information.
One second,
Okay.
please. 1 second, please. I got the We've already passed other resolutions for things to be renamed or what have you. Now, when you talk about, businesses changing names, so just like any other businesses, once you change the name, yes, it goes up under a different statute or what have you. Just like different LLCs, different corps or what have you. Changing the name is not going to devalue or shouldn't void the contract. So as far as us to table this and continue to put it off, just to put a policy in place that may put this in jeopardy or what have you, I don't see no reason why we can't just go forward.
So you're going to make a motion?
If we,
Yeah.
if we,
Can I?
can I, real
Go
quick?
ahead.
He had to ask for it.
If we table this tonight, we can bring it back anytime we want, right?
Yes,
If it's voted down tonight, we have to wait at least 6 months before we bring it
That's
back
right.
up.
that's correct.
Let's at least vote on it.
How long do you think it would take to get a naming policy in place?
For me, I don't know. Mayor Brown and Mr. Thompson have worked on that far more than I have.
Couple of months, probably.
Mayor.
Yes.
Well, I hate
Hold on
for
just a
it to, I hate for us to vote on it tonight and it fail, or it looks like that the board does not support this gentleman, who I've heard nothing but good things about, which I do. But I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions there. And if it's tabled, then it doesn't look like the board is not supporting this man. And I mean, if you want to vote and it doesn't pass, then it looks truly like the board doesn't support it. And I don't think that that's accurate.
I think that's irrelevant because whatever is in your heart.
It's not
Whatever's in your heart to vote, you're gonna make that vote. We've already heard all the different witnesses, all the different testimonies, and we've heard some of the technicalities, what have you. We have the option right now to go ahead and make a motion and go through the process. I think we should go through the process.
I think the only thing that is concerning is the funding that we're receiving. You cannot tell me 100% if the name of that entity changes that it will affect the funds that we're getting for that building, correct?
I can't tell you that, no, sir.
So I would say the only concern I have for that is that I don't want to do something that's going to affect those funds that support that. So I would rather table this, get that answered. We can call it back up next meeting. I know nobody wants to do that, but I would rather us figure it out first and make sure that we know for sure.
Absolutely.
Before we vote, because I don't want to vote it down.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
Well, we can't get the procedure in place that quick by the next meeting.
Well, all he's saying is he wants to know if it
I don't
affects the
think
loan.
that's gonna
If it doesn't
be-
affect the loan, then he's gonna vote for it.
Have anybody talked to the Crank family to see where they stand on this?
Yeah, he said he hadn't.
Commissioner Steve, the building is not the entity. An entity, someone who has about 30 of them, the company or corporation is separate. The building would be an asset of the entity, which would be an asset of the city, correct?
Correct.
So you're not changing the name of the entity, who the loan is in the name of them. You're just changing the name of an asset, which is the building.
Right, not the holding company, right.
That's not technically correct, Donnie. I mean, that's not technically correct. The loan agreements with this is in the city's name on behalf of the Texarkana Rec Center. It's the rec center is what qualified us for this particular type loan through HUD. Had we not had the rec center, we would not have been able to apply for this. It met the community service standards for the ability to borrow that money. So it's on that particular asset and entity.
Well, everyone may not agree with me here, but I've been waiting 3 years for something. I don't mind waiting a little bit longer if we have a common goal. But if we get the answers to all these questions and we name a naming policy and we do all these things and we come back up here again and the people that are saying they would vote for it if we had a naming policy, then vote against it, then we're just all wasting our time. And time is valuable. So that is a concern of mine. And another thing is I'm a problem solver. I think it's great what the Franks did. I think they should get their flowers too. There's a huge piece of land in Tuscaloosa, room for baseball fields and everything. I'd be willing to make a donation for half the price of the sign to call it the Crank Plaza or the Crank Plaza for kids, and you can name the building, we can vote to name the building after Terry Rogers. So, I mean, there's solutions here, if we're looking for solutions. But if it's gonna take time, that's fine. I just think it's a waste of everyone's time if we're gonna go through this process and then not come to a resolution that makes sense.
I think those are good things that he brought up, and I think that needs to be discussed. So I make a motion to table this.
I second.
So we have more information.
Well,
Let's get what you've talked about together and talk about that, and then we can come back and vote on it at a later time. I don't want to vote this down and wait 6 months.
So technically, we'll just close the public hearing, so we have Director Harris.
I guess I'm basically say the same thing what I said last time when this came up, that, and a little bit more differently, that if I was on this board, I believe it was back in 2013 when that building was donated to the city by the Frank. And I think in 2017, that's when Lowe's, Lamisha, I think her name, Hunter. Hunter was trying with Lowe's, was trying to get the building rehab and thing. They met with Public Works on Friday, and then a group of people went there that Monday morning, including myself. And so the board later on, I guess singled me out for having a group of people coming there that Monday, even though they went in with myself and the Public Works Director. And so that's the reason I'm abstaining from this, because I was singled out, I guess, for me doing my job, basically, to say that, to put it shortly. Because a group of people was trying to figure out how can we come together and get the building rehab. But eventually, the building was rehabbed by CBG money. Now, what is CBG money? It's community block grant money, and we basically get that money based on the low to moderate income people live in Texarkana basically the poor people. So basically, the poor people money is paying for that center there. And I don't know how much they taking, well, I think it said 1.2 million, so over the time, 1.2 million community block development money gonna pay for that center, and I'm saying that it is poor people money. So poor people want, who they want to name after, they can't. But I have some legal issue going on, why, based on how I was treated by that board back then, because I was singled out like I did something wrong, so that's the reason I'm abstaining from the vote. So I don't want people to think that I'm against renaming it for Terry, I'm against that issue, I'm not against that. I just got some legal issues going on with that building, but even though it's back in 2017 and it's 2024, it's still going on and it haven't been resolved, so that's the reason why I'm abstaining from the vote. And also, if I can remember right, now the city attorney can correct me, I thought he did stated that they could have voted to rename the building at the time when the discussion went on. So he can correct me if I didn't hear that right, so.
Well, we have a motion and a second, Mayor, to table this.
I'm going to say the city attorney. Yeah, I said the city manager. So the city attorney said
We have a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion?
I have one discussion. Hey, just keep in mind, what's the president's precedence, that's what's happening here. Understand, the first time this came up, we tabled because we wanted to rename the gym to the building. Okay, so now there's another level of bureaucracy here. Now we're saying we need a naming policy. What's going to come up next? That's all I got.
That question to me, I want to ask one question. Who opposed up there? Who don't want the name, change the name? Who don't want to change?
We have a motion, Lee, we have a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
No.
Brown,
Yes, and the resolution is tabled. Moving right along to item number 4, which is to adopt a joint resolution and memorandum of understanding of the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, supporting the fiscal year 2024 Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements Grant application for Union Station improvements. This item failed at our last meeting due to a lack of a second. I think Vasile is there. I think everybody received some additional correspondence on this. And it's my understanding when I read through all of the documents that this is simply our money that we had previously put up for the original grant never was spent. That money is in escrow. You were sent a memorandum or a memo from the Texas side stating where that money was. I actually verified myself through Tyrone that that money was still there. Also, there is there in the memorandum of understanding, there will be no other funds committed from the city to match this funds once it becomes fruition. And I think the big thing is the difference between this and the previous grant we applied for several months ago is that this money does have backing from Amtrak if this grant comes to fruition.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt. Any other questions? Oh, wait a minute. We have to read the resolution first.
Right.
I'll instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
A joint resolution of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, and Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, supporting the fiscal year 2024 Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements Grant application for Union Station improvements and establishing an effective date. Whereas the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Railroad Administration notice of funding opportunity for $2.4 billion in grant funding through the CRISI grant program is open. And whereas the cities of Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana, Arkansas are applying for the CRISI grant, Texarkana's Union Station redevelopment project sets a bold vision for future growth rail transportation within the twin cities of Texarkana, USA, on the Texas and Arkansas border, a historically disadvantaged rural community. Originally established as a railroad and industrial center, Texarkana, USA has grown into a regional agriculture, retail, transportation, and wholesale service center. This phase of the project aims to acquire the site as a capital project and fund the preliminary engineering needed for redevelopment. And whereas the two cities have a shared interest, this site is currently an eyesore and one of the only remaining non-renovated Union Station facilities along the Amtrak Texas Eagle route. Additionally, the only operating portion of the site is in serious need of repair to make the site more ADA friendly for passengers. This site has been around since the founding of both cities, and staff realizes that its restoration is vital to a successful downtown revitalization, which is part of the city's comprehensive plan. This project will preserve the building's rich history while contributing to the economic growth that has started in downtown Texarkana, as well as improve passenger safety. Potential funds from the CRISI grant program for building acquisition and preliminary engineering, along with other potential funds from tax credits and Amtrak's improvement funds, will allow for future redevelopment. Whereas this project demonstrates a valuable contribution to both cities' continuing efforts toward the redevelopment of downtown Texarkana, which will improve the multimodal transportation in Texarkana, USA. Working in close coordination with Amtrak officials, the redevelopment of Union Station will include, but not be limited to, passenger station amenity improvements and ADA accessibility. These upgrades will lead to emissions reduction and public health benefits, reduced pavement maintenance costs, and other economic development gains. The station will become a viable multi-purpose building with passenger rail, offices, and event and future business accelerator space, providing the opportunity for a multimodal means of rail transportation, along with a potential bus service route through the Texarkana Urban Transit Authority. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, and the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, Section 1. The City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, and the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas hereby approve the support of the Texarkana CRISI grant application for Texarkana Union Station redevelopment and authorize the city managers jointly to partner with other entities for the acquisition of Texarkana Union Station. Section 2, this joint resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval by both cities. Texarkana, Texas, passed and approved in regular council session this 22nd day of April 2024. Texarkana, Arkansas, passed and approved on this the 20th day of May 2024.
City attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any other discussion? Yes,
I
sir.
have a question. That, just say, what is the future for that building somewhere down the line as to a total rehab or what? Does anybody really know?
Yeah, it's all in there. Would be providing that we get the grant and the additional funding from Amtrak. It would be redone as the Amtrak. It would be a mini, I think Vasile is here. He can explain to you. There's a incubator space available. There's a number of things depending on how much funding becomes available. Vasile?
Yes.
What would the end fund come from the city per se? Or?
No.
No more funding comes
No from, no
I think
more.
we've already put, what, 200?
Yeah, we've
I think we already put 200.
Yes, so there wouldn't be any more additional funding other than the $200,000 that has already been committed a year ago. So the plans for this right now, we've been working with some engineers and some consultants, as you mentioned, is an accelerator space. There's opportunity to have offices in there. There's a restaurant space that's already in there that never got used, so that could be redeveloped. And there, as I mentioned, accelerator space and business incubator are some of the potential use, and potentially an open market as well. Those are some of the use that this station can be redeveloping, as well as redeveloping the portion that Amtrak was operating in. You're welcome.
All right. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, resolution passes. Moving on to item number 5, which is adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 10, 2024 to correct a rezoning of Lot 1 of the proposed J.K. Acres subdivision located at 4804 East 9th Street from C1 General Commercial District to C3 Open Display Commercial for the purpose of building and opening a landscaping business. Jamie?
Okay, so I made a mistake.
Welcome back.
I know, last meeting, we voted to rezone the Smith's property out on Route 82, or on Highway 82, to C1, so they could put in a landscaping business.
Right.
That should have read C3. Everything that was sent out when the Planning Commission approved it was C3. The adjacent property owners, their letters said C3, and the Planning Commission voted on C3.
Got it.
I accidentally had C1 on the paperwork that went to you guys. So we are just trying to correct that.
Just doing some.
Anybody have any questions? Yes. This is an ordinance that will need to be read 3 times.
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 10-2024 to correct the zoning designation from C1 General Commercial District to C3 Open Display Commercial and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading, abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 10-2024 to correct the zoning designation from C1 General Commercial District to C3 Open Display Commercial and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its third and final reading?
Motion third, abbreviated form.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to have it read on its third reading. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 10-2024 to correct the zoning designation from C1 General Commercial District to C3 Open Display Commercial and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing and seeing none, could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, and the ordinance is adopted. Moving right on into item number 6, to which is to adopt an ordinance to rezone the property located at 6103 Mount Olive Drive from C4 Crossroads Business Park to planned unit development for the purpose of constructing 12 townhomes. Jamie?
So this is the property that you heard several people speak about earlier. The property is on the corner of Mount Olive and McDonald Drive. This is Jefferson right here. If any of you have ever been over there, there's a little barbecue restaurant right there that's open about one day a month. So the property is currently zoned C4. It's part of the Crossroads Business Park. The property to the east of it is zoned C1. That's the little barbecue restaurant, and then the rest of it is zoned residential. There is a single-family home that sits back here and a single-family home that sits back here, and then this is the subdivision that starts back here. There is sewer and water on Mount Olive Drive. This is their plat. You probably have a picture of it that's better to see than this one. There will be 12 townhomes in 3 groups of 4, and Colin spoke to those. These are the black and white renderings. These are the color renderings of the properties. If you have any more questions for me.
I have. The neighborhood would be behind this, how many houses are in that neighborhood? Do you?
I do not know.
Like 400.
There's a has over 500 homes in it. There's over 500 members in our neighborhood Facebook page. And there is an
developed neighborhood there, and if you put townhomes on that street, it will be hard to sell homes in that new part of the subdivision.
Now,
Roads have already been put in and everything.
now, on Mount Olive, you're gonna have to excuse my ignorance on some of this, because I represent the other side, from College Hill out to the 71 on that end. I drove out there Sunday and, took some pictures, walked around, and, Mount Olive, is it all zone commercial right now?
It is.
It is zone
It's
commercial?
part of the test district.
Yeah, the west side of Mount
west
Olive is commercial. The east side is residential.
That's right.
Okay, so at this point, is there property that's for sale out there other than the property that is planning on being developed? Is there, Jeff, that may be a question you could.
So there has been a couple of for sale signs down that road. I don't know if they're still there. I know there's been some property that's fronting Jefferson that's been for sale, but
Yeah.
yes, I know we've had a couple of lots there that have had for sale signs up on
Yeah.
them.
My concern truly isn't as much these buildings here as what could be, you could
100%.
bring in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with duplexes. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with apartment houses, but kind of the way I look at it is if I wouldn't want it in my back door, I can't put it in somebody else's. Which I don't have any room, I don't have any roads hardly in mine, so you couldn't get to it anyway. But,
It is right in my back door.
So at the
It's a
planning and
beautiful
zoning,
area.
I'm sorry, y'all, you done, Terry?
Yes, go right ahead.
So at planning and zoning, it was stated that, Colin, you had stated that all of these would have a single-car garage behind them, and that is not the case. Only 4 of them have a single-car garage behind them, the ones in the middle.
I think you're incorrect.
Okay, well, let's pull it up. I'd like to look at it and see it. So can we expand, go back to the plans? Okay, can you make that bigger, please? So if you see, Colin, the 3 in the middle, I see the single car garage here. On these, I don't see that.
Correct. It's within the second floor. It's contained within the second floor.
It's contained within, oh, it goes underneath it.
Correct.
Okay, so my other question is this. You've got a 24-foot easement here. I know you're within specs on 2 cars being parked on every single one of these. This is a road that you're proposing for Mount Olive that goes out to McDonald. And I know that Tyler has told me that there is within sight that it's not going to be a problem, that it's a blind corner, but I tend to disagree with that because I drive it every day. I know he does as well, but I tend to disagree that that's going to cause a problem right there from a traffic point of view. But what happens, and I know that you're within, I think you're, 92, what was it, Tyler, 92 on each one of those, 90?
What are you talking about? The parking
Well,
space?
you said for each one of the townhomes that had the width.
Oh, it was like 18 and a half
18.
foot, something like
So
that.
that 18 foot, while it is within spec, is not necessarily the width of every vehicle that you have. And so if you have a dually truck, or you have another truck, or you have a wider vehicle than the normal standard, you're not going to be able to fit those 2 vehicles. The other thing I'm going to ask you, Colin, is that if you park 2 vehicles, if you've got a 3-bedroom and you've got a mama that's got a car, you've got a daddy that's got a car, you've got 2 kids that are going to college, what you going to do with 4 cars? You're going to park them on this road right here.
That's it.
Are you going to park them on this road right here?
Right.
Are you going to park them in front of that? That's why I'm saying, board, we represent the citizens of Texarkana. They vote us into office, and we are here to listen to the voice of the citizens. And these are all the folks that I represent. And I'm here to tell you that I don't have anything against you, Colin. I know you were a great baseball player at the University of Arkansas. I know your father-in-law. I'm very, very proud of you. But I think that this is a bad fit for this neighborhood. And I would tend to ask you, how many other townhomes do you know in Sugar Hill? There's none. There's none. So,
To combat the issue with the parking, I'd be happy to add more parking on the side.
Put it in your backyard.
Yeah, in your backyard.
well, hold on. I think at this point, we're talking potatoes and potatoes. The other thing is this, Colin. You were stating that the price per foot, that's at the time of the build. Now, that is going to suffer, it's going to suffer wear and tear. You got a revolving door of people coming in and renting those things. 10 years from now, when those things are run down a little more, and I know Judy's going to do the best she can to keep them up, and I don't know if we'll be here in 10 years or not, Judy, but I would say this, those are going to go down because you are a person of profit, and you're going to try to run those on a very tight budget. I've had people that have lived in your property over there, and no offense, Judy, but they were not happy over there, and so I've just gotten some feedback, okay? I will tell you this, in 10 years when those are run down, that will affect our property value. And so I'm going to implore to this board that if we vote to approve this, then you go against every citizen that votes out here that says that they are against it. This is the wishes of the people that live in this neighborhood, and we should be here to support the citizens as they come forward.
The Planning and Zoning Commission, my understanding is there wasn't much of an opposition at the Planning and Zoning Commission? Well, that was my next question. I see the outrage here tonight. How come there was no outrage there?
Well,
at the planning?
she sent it out to 300 feet is all she's required to do. She sent it out to 300 feet, which is required. So all the other people didn't know.
Our ordinance requires us to send it out to all properties within a 300-foot
So
radius.
the city did their due diligence, right?
They did, and after the packets went out to the planning commission, I received 3 people who called me with opposition, and I printed those out and gave those to the planning commission. But we only had 3 people that physically called our office to complain.
But you have more than that that's written down on that paper.
Yes, we sent out letters to
So-
everybody within 300 feet of any side of that property.
So I think this is a silly question, but I would take it that y'all represent the majority of the neighborhood out there, right?
Sir, we got a whole lot of elderly people in our neighborhood that can't make it to these kinds of meetings. So we're standing up for them too.
So what I was getting at, you had people that called in that were in opposition, that are in our packet, that those names are listed that potentially are not here tonight.
Yes. There
Yeah.
were 2 people that called in and 1 lady who wrote an email because she couldn't even hear.
Yeah, I saw a list of folks that were in opposition to it, but be that as it may, I support the citizens that elected me, and I want to thank y'all for electing me, and I'm doing the best to represent y'all, and I want people to look you in the eye when they give you a vote, and whether they listen to the voters or not.
What?
Can I make a comment right quick?
Yeah, we're fixing it. You'll get a chance in a minute to speak for or against this. Are you opening it up right now, Mayor?
One more question. To the developer, you got other options, other properties, parcels of land that you could relocate to if this doesn't?
Currently do not, no.
But Colin, you knew what this was zoned when you bought it, right?
Correct.
What would your intentions be if this doesn't pass tonight for that property?
There's a long list of other commercial uses that we can look at. I don't have anything in the works as far as that, but I am invested in the property. I own the property. I'll look at other options to make sure that we are able to do something with the property.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Jamie, maybe Tyler. How does this fit with our master plan that we came up with a year ago? And also, what was the reasoning behind why the planning commission approved this project?
So the master plan has this designated as business park. As part of that, there is a component of business park that allows for multifamily uses, and it's meant to be a transition area between your residential and your business areas. So this does allow for a multifamily use in that. And the planning commission, their focus is on development. This property's been vacant since 2009. The VFW was originally there, so it's never been a commercial property. So their focus is on creating revenue for the city.
Any other discussion? All right, Tom. I remind the board, this is an ordinance. To pass tonight, it would have to be read 3 times. Yes. Yeah, I will when we get to, if we make it that far. What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its first reading, abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be desired to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third and final abbreviated form.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
I would like to vote yes.
I miss you.
Skipped it.
Oh, Jewell, I'm so sorry.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
I'll second it so we can get on the record.
That's right.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. So prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone wishing to speak for or against? Outside of what we already heard, ma'am?
I don't know the procedure, but I'm against it. I'll tell you why. I have sweat equity in my community. I mow all 3 entrances of my community. On McDonald, since it was sold a little over a year ago, not one single blade of grass has been cut on that strip of land. When I mow that property 2 mowers over just so we can walk safely, but not one single thing has been done to that property since it's been sold
That's right.
to this person.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say I'm against it because it's truly one of the nicer neighborhoods on the Texarkana, Arkansas. I came from Texas and moved over here because that neighborhood, I had a friend live in it, and it was so kept up, and the people are just awesome neighbors. I mean, you couldn't ask for a tighter community than we have, and I just think that bringing that in is going to cause people, I think people are going to cut through. It's going to take away from some of the walking we do and to get out. We chat. We are a community, and I think it's really going to hurt our neighborhood in the long run when they start, the apartments start going downhill and stuff. So I'd ask that you consider that.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I spoke a little month ago when it first came that, I'm glad people are here to speak up now. But my other issue was, yes, Cause, it's gonna be right in my backyard. I mean, other than my fence, I'm seeing all that. But my issue is, I understand, the property values, everything is about, you wanna keep your property, your value, it's your home, it's an asset. Mine's 10 years from now, or just 2 years from now. Who's to say if this goes through and they build, well, guess what the neighbors gonna do? Hey, they got so much for that, you know what, I'm gonna sell this. Well, what guess what you'll be right back here rezoning that, it'll be more.
Yep.
And it'll be right back, it's gonna be more. And it's just, to me, it's a domino effect.
Yep.
It starts with one domino.
Anyone else?
You stop it now, you'll stop the rest of it.
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing to say. My mama lives on Woodland Oaks Drive. She's lived there now for 22 years. When she moved there, there was no apartment complex or nothing behind her house. They built one there, and now my 15-year-old daughter cannot get in my mother's swimming pool and swim in her bathing suit because there are literally grown men looking over my mama's swimming pool from their apartments. I just want to say that. Y'all keep in mind that this is opening up Pandora's box. Please listen to us. Nothing against Colin. I wish him the best. I wish he could go somewhere and find something great to build somewhere. But please don't build it on our property. Please.
Anyone else? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Jewel,
No.
Hart,
No.
Roberts,
No.
Harris,
Abstain.
Hollowbush,
No.
Brewer,
No.
Brown,
No. And the ordinance does not pass. Moving right along in the board commentary, do we have any board that wishes to address, any board member to address the board or citizens tonight? Okay.
I was told yesterday that, Crossties is gonna be opened up this Thursday, from, 2 to 7 p.m. I guess they grand open, so, they having a grand open.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that.
You haven't
so-
seen that? Yeah, this coming Thursday from 2 to 7. Have you seen that? Have you heard that?
Yes, they're going to have a grand opening on Thursday. I can circulate the information to everybody.
And,
Anything else? Yes.
okay, and, I guess last board meeting I brought up, which I was going, it's too late now about the minutes. I brought up about a housing issue, that, one was the city was going to try to get a housing person, for the try to do housing from the city standpoint.
Yes, if you're referencing the grants that you sent to me from the NLC?
No, I had wrote, when we was tearing down the houses, I had brought up when we would get a housing person back. We had one, 2 mayors ago, a housing, and we have a housing department, and we don't have one now, even though Tyler, he somewhat mentioned about trying to, get a employee back for that.
I'll have a report next meeting, sir, for that. I apologize.
Okay, all right, that's it.
Any other board member? Robert, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll be brief, real quick. First of all, I just want to take hats off to our police department. I don't think we recognize the kind of work that they've done. They've actually handled 10,800 calls year-to-date as of right now. They had 2,005 911 calls last month, and totaling 2,946 calls for our officers. And we were down roughly 21 positions, so now it's down to 14. So they're doing an outstanding job as far as serving the community with the staff that we have, and they're still focusing on retention and recruiting. So I want to give hats off to our police department. Real quick, our fire department has passed all their annual pump tests required by the state, so therefore our trucks are in compliance, and they've also incorporated several new hydraulic rescue tools which make them more efficient when it comes to servicing our citizens here. That's all I'm reporting on for tonight, Joe. Thank you. Oh, one more thing real quick. I want to thank the middle school for coming over today to tour City Hall. They came over, some 6th and 7th graders came, and Jamie was and Velvet were responsible for that. I just want to say thank you. Great job for that. Bringing these kids out here to see the city and getting them involved in public service and understanding what we do here. So,
Hey, City Manager, I want to congratulate you. You on getting that hydraulic tool.
yes, sir.
I can remember back in '97, I hit an 18-wheeler head on, and we didn't have, they had to call the Fayette County to cut me out of that vehicle. It took them 3 hours to cut me out of there. They had to call the Fayette. They had a hydraulic tool to cut me out of there.
Yeah.
Knock the motor out in the field and everything. That's a good tool for us to have.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Do we have an update on the tower lighting on Interstate 30 that we've been trying to get fixed for probably 4 years now?
No, I'll check.
Roger, do you know?
It's on the next one.
It's been terrible.
We got them all fixed. We had an issue just recently with the breaker that tripped, and we don't travel that area at night. You know, I'm out other ways. Unless somebody calls us, we don't know about it. When we found out about it, we had somebody go out there and fix it. But
So they're working now? They should be working?
Yes, they should be working. There's 4 lights on the very east side of the loop that does not work currently. They've been rewired and stuff when we redid the rest of them, but we didn't have the light fixtures to put up there. So they will work when we get light fixtures up there, and we've got that in the works now.
Okay. Any other?
Thanks for all you do.
Yes, sir.
I forgot something.
All right.
That, somebody, asked me how much are we getting paid up here. And if the public does not know, this board of directors, as far as I know, this is not a salary job, so this is not, no way. Now, in the Corn Court, they get $450 a month, you know, and I think the school board, I don't think
They got a raise.
Okay, I was told, they get $700-some a month. And the school board, that's not a paying position either, and this is not a paying position. So if somebody was asking me, you know, you getting paid, so won't you do something about something? And I also told them that, only person for as a city employee I can basically say something to is the city manager over there. Technically, if I see a city employee doing something or not doing something, I got to call the city manager and tell him that. I really don't supposed to go and tell that city employee he's doing something wrong if he's out doing a job, so technically, now you just can't get a situation. Now, if he finna harm somebody, that's something different than harm himself, but, I don't have that power to tell the city employee what to do or what not to do. I only have one power to do something, and that's the city manager, and to call him up and tell him what need to be done or what not need to be done. So if you don't know, that's it, with the position up here. It's not a paid position, so.
Anything else? Our next meeting will be Monday, June the 3rd. I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Let's have a motion and a second. Could you call the roll?
Jewel,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Paulabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned. Jamie?